Welcome to Profi Plays the story of Mese Kinson. So today we are actually going to play the first scene. We've done all of the setup. We have the previous three videos about that, setting up the home world, and then I did the sector off screen. Then we set up our character and also the kind of the basic outline of the plot. So now we're going to get to where we're actually going to start playing. Right, so this is Mese Kinson, 26 years old, just now leaving the Scouts. He is from the homeworld of Kugethia, but that is not where we are going to be starting our story. Instead, we are starting not in Kugethia, but down here, right in Hadarana. Hadarana is a basically Earth-sized planet, so standard Earth-like gravity, a little bit heavier than where Mies grew up. It's standard atmosphere, though it is tainted. It requires some filter to breathe. It's less water than we might find on Earth. Actually, the proportions of land and water are basically flips. It's about 30% water, smallish population, about 200,000 people. They live in a participatory democracy, great deal of freedom here. Local law levels pretty low, right? So people certainly can and probably are going to be carrying weapons around. They have Class C starport. They have a scout base that is part of why we chose this, and there's also a pirate base in this sector. Right, so let's go ahead and use Covetous Poet to get things started here. Now, in the first act, which is where we are now, that is, we've not totally established uh, from the character's point of view, the main character's point of view, what the plot line is and what they're supposed to do. Right. So, since we're in Act One, we do what they call event scenes. So we need to roll 2d6, which I have set up over here. So I'll go ahead and roll those 2d6. Got a 2. Right, so that tells us that there was a very unexpected turn of events. All right, what that turn of events is, well, we'll find out. Right, so now here, remember, Misa's just like walking out of like, the shuttle on the planet's surface, his combination mask on, which provides filtering and as necessary pressurization, but it's not necessary on this planet. Right, so let's find out what's going on here. Oh, make you all dizzy as I move my camera around. Yep. All right, so first we have the event. So there's a very unexpected turn of events. We'll see. Okay. Then action, thing, plot device, opposition, and location. So let's go and roll each of these. So action, thing, plot device. I'm just making notes on paper because that's going to be a little bit faster for me than trying to type everything out. And location. Okay, let's go over here to our sci-fi genre charts. I'm just going to go through chart by chart and roll on them. Right, so we do need an opposition, so we're going to roll D100 for that. So here is one D10, here's another D10, so we'll roll the two of them together. And that gives us, I'm going to read from top to bottom, so 6-5. So 65 here is religious fanatics or fugitive. And we will choose from those as necessary. So that's our opposition. Religious fanatics or fugitive. Okay, so let's see how things fit together. Next page. Remember my controls. Motivations, we don't need a motivation right now. Then sci-fi themes, we don't need a theme actually. Complications, we don't need a complication. Locations, we do need a location. There's a D1000, so let's go ahead and select my 3 dice and roll them. And we've got 144, so 144 gives us Commercial District. So the Commercial District is where whatever is going to happen is happening. All right. Next then, actions. We do need an action. This is a D1000, so we're going to roll that. Our action is 451. 451 haggle. Okay. Then we need a thing. Another D1000, so we've got 686. All right, let's see. 686 will probably, yeah, it's the next page. All right, 680. I think they have extensive tables for things. A refugee. Let me pick up the book there. All right. Next page, plot devices. So let's see what we've got. And 982. Extensive list of plot devices as well. All right, 982 gives us you're a galactic hero. A character gains great, perhaps extreme, political or symbolic value to a group or cause after a well-publicized success. So that's our plot devices. You're a galactic hero. All right. So we got to put these pieces together. So we're location is the commercial district, action is haggle. So these two feel like they would go together. Right? Okay, so it makes sense, haggling in a commercial district. Okay. But then we also have these other elements that kind of go together in that our opposition, religious fanatics or a fugitive. Well, fugitive would actually overlap with the idea of a refugee as well. So we have both of those. And then this plot device of you're a galactic hero. Now, how one becomes a galactic hero through haggling in the commercial district is unclear. Fit that way. All right, so we want the setup here. So uh, I'm thinking about the scene, right? So Mies is walking out of the Class C starport, having been dropped off by the scouts because he is done. He's taken kind of a lump sum uh, of some significant money, actually, uh, as he left the scouts. And as he walks out, one of the things that happens now, this is also a very unexpected turn of events. Hmm. All right, so I'm thinking right now, commercial district haggling. So the commercial district is relatively easy for us to imagine here, right? So this is a fairly dry world. I'm and so there's probably some, but not a lot of like vegetation, that kind of stuff. Let me look at more of the description of this world. Let's see. It's Hadarana. We zoom in, and you can see it's low tech and non-industrial, or what the LT and NI indicate. So low tech, non-industrial. So we don't have like big factories or anything like that, which means a lot of the stuff being traded is going to be fairly simple, right? So we're not talking about trading high tech stuff, right? So this is not where we're going to be buying computers and droids and the like, right? All right. So now, how does this tie to a refugee or fugitive? Now, we are specifically opposed by a fugitive of some kind, right? Right, so I think your galactic hero we don't want to take too literally. So this is going to be something that's much more local. So I think let's make this real simple. Right? Right, so walking out of the starport, uh, Mies walks into, actually, it makes sense that the commercial district would probably be there fairly close, right? So it's a fairly crowded area. Right? There are lots of people around, right, milling about, all of them wearing, right, filtration devices. There might possibly be some people that are just kind of trying to deal with the tainted atmosphere and hacking and the like, but I suspect that would be relatively few, right? So for the most part, this area, we're going to say lots of people milling about. When I guess a kerfuffle happens, as kerfuffle, that's a good word. So a kerfuffle happens, and someone says, right, stop a thief or something like that. Now, Mies, being a scout, I'm sure he wasn't like a naval officer or something like that, but naturally he doesn't want thieves running around, right? So he's going to try to chase this person down. So I need to know a little bit more, right, about this thief, right? Who I think is both a fugitive and a refugee. So let's go ahead and answer some questions about them. So first thing, I want to get a name for them. It's right here, right? And so I have names for men, women, and ships. So you can see it's just a list of 40. So I'm going to answer the question. Go down here, pull up my B100, take it over my Oracle table. Oh, the oracle's on the previous page. Maybe the following page. There it is. right? So I just want to know, like, is this person, uh, is it a man? Okay. And then we're just going to roll here. We can say it's 50-50 chance, so 53, right? So even chance, so no, right? So the person who is running, right, would be a woman. So I'm just going to grab the first name, right? So it's Marasones, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add in a new note card. This is my first NPC. Right? So here we go. And then I need to edit this. Right, so this is Mara Sonaz. A description. I need a description of her. Well, a few things that I do when I create an NPC using Cepheus. So I came across this cool idea because, as we know, character creation, as we saw in a previous video, is kind of a lengthy process. It takes a while, even when you know what you're doing. It takes a while, and then also the person might just die in character creation. So doing this for NPCs on the fly does not work. Instead, I found somebody suggesting on Reddit that a nice way to do this is to just roll a d6 and subtract 3. Right? And that gives you their level of competency for anything related to whatever their um, specialty is. So in this case, I rolled a 6. So Mara Sonas, whoever she is, right, is quite competent. So I'm going to go ahead and just write the +3, and that means anytime she does something related to whatever we discover her specialty to be, uh, she's going to get a +3 bonus on that, which in the Cepheus system, +3 is really, really good. I think that like Misa's highest, and let's go ahead and compare that. Like Mise, if he is rolling something that is related to strength and piloting, like how you would end up combining those two, I don't know off the top of my head. At that point, you'd get a +3. Everything else, at absolute most he's going to get a +2. Right, so +3 means that she is quite skilled. Okay, I need to know a little bit more about her though. Um, and so let's go ahead and I'm going to roll on this personality table. So it's a D50 table. So I'll roll a D100. Where did I put my 100? There it is. There we go. Divide by 2 and round up is a way to get to D50. All right, so we got 74. 74 divided by 2 is 37. So she is grumpy or smug. Oh, I like this already. Okay, so +3, so she's quite competent, and then she's either grumpy or smug. And then we also need to know kind of more about her as a character. Now, at this point, we've decided that she is fugitive slash refugee, but we don't know anything about kind of what her original identity was. So that's what I'm going to roll on this table. So we have um, there's a random encounter table, and there's also a patron encounter table. I'm going to use the patron encounter table here because that does well, giving us different um, I guess identities. So I'm gonna roll. This is a D66 table, so you roll two D6 and then treat. Let's roll them again. Hope they don't lean on each other. Okay, so 3-1. So that would indicate that she's a drifter. Okay. And so this means then her +3 would indicate that she's good at things like scavenging for food. Probably has some jack of all trades kind of stuff going on, right? So I'm gonna say she probably just doesn't take penalties on anything. I think that'd be a good interpretation of this +3. All right. Right, so she's a drifter, has apparently run afoul of the law somewhere, and is now here trying to make her way as best she can. Right. All right. Cool. And I'm also going to shrink this because I think it's a little bit too big for where I'm trying to fit it. There we go. All right. So she runs, and Mies decides to chase her. All right. So the way that the chase is going to work, I'm going to say they're relatively close to start with. So I'm just going to give them an opposed dexterity roll. Right. Right. So, oh wait, no, probably not dexterity. Dexterity may be running through the crowd, but it's not a huge city, so I don't think it's that crowded. I think endurance is going to be more relevant here, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So it's an opposed endurance roll. It doesn't really make any difference for Mies because he's the same. Regardless. So it's at a +1 for Mies. So Mies's roll, add it up, it's a 6, right? And then Mara's, I remind myself of her name. Oh, was was an 8. Okay, that's quite a bit. Right, so she is running, right, and managing to outpace him reasonably well at this point, right? So she may just be gone shortly. So I'm going to give it one more roll, right? See if he manages to catch up a little bit or not, or if she outpaces him again. I'm going to say she is gone, right? And then we will have to interpret some of what happened here. So his roll this time was an 11. That's good, and hers was 10. Well, all right. I'm going to say, yeah, he is making up for some lost time there. Right, so one last roll. So this one's going to be the tiebreaker. For Mies at a +1 is a 9. For Mara at a +0 is an 8. So he does manage to catch up with her. So now the question is this: what is her attitude going to be? Now we know that she is grumpy or smug, right? But in terms of like how is she going to uh, react to this guy who just ran up to her, grabbed her? I'm going to say he probably did not tackle her. I don't think that was necessary here, right? So this would be a case where we're definitely starting out on the unfriendly side, right? So let's see what her attitude is in this conversation. 7, so that means it's going to be fairly new. So she's skeptical, right? So he grabs her, right? And if you got to come with me. She's like, well, why? Right? That seems like a fairly goofy, smug kind of answer. Okay, you caught me. Why should I bother coming with you? Right. Right. So I'm going to say that there's going to be some negotiation going on here. And I'm not going to play it all out because that's not really my style. Some people like to do this, not so much me. Right. So here's things that are kind of in the back of my mind right now. Like one, there's a conversation going on between the two of them. Two, stop thief was yelled. Now we have a fairly low law level, which means then the authorities are probably going to take a while to show up if they show up at all, right? So I pulled some of the law related. Here we go. Right, so can't really zoom in on this. I'm going to grow this. Which also accidentally grew my dice. Okay, right. So this works. So with theft, right? Theft is fairly minor, right? So it would roll 2d6, right, plus the modifier based on what's going here. And if it's lower than the planet's law level, then the characters get checked, investigated, or fought by planetary law enforcement. So this would be, I mean, just basic petty theft. It's not like totally innocuous, like approaching the planet, acting suspiciously. It's a little beyond that, but we're not up to shots fired. So probably yeah, I'd say probably somewhere in the kind of that bar fight kind of area would be about right. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll then. That's it's 2d6, right, plus the modifier of -1. All right. And if we roll lower than our law level, well, we did, because we're at a 2. And the law level here on Hadathia, Hadarana, just mixing together, is a 3. Right, so yeah, so the law enforcement are going to show up. And I guess the question is, are they ready for combat here? Or that seems kind of extreme here. I don't know that they're. Oh, if there's resistance, maybe. Right, so let's go ahead and ask. So I'm going to say it's very unlikely they're actually going to be engaging in combat immediately. So let's go ahead and roll that. If I roll 25 or less, then it's a yes. 87. So no, that's not what they're interested in. So the law enforcement is going to be showing up. Now, do they show up immediately? That I think that is also extremely unlikely even. So I'm going to say it's only on a 1 through 5 that we get that. 73. So no. So they haven't shown up yet. So we do have, let's say, a little bit of time for the two to negotiate. And here's the tack that I think we're going to be taking. Right? And that is that right, Mara is skeptical, but she's not really resisting, I would note. Uh, right? No, she's smug, arrogant in her demeanor, right? But I don't think that Mies is going to be offended and feel like he really has to like physically resist this person. I think he wants to uh, be a little bit easier on her and perhaps let her go, right, if she returns whatever it is that she stole. Right? So I think that that's the way I'm imagining, right, things are going here, right? So this is where he is going to be now engaging in some negotiation, right? So this would be the kind of thing that would use a liaison skill typically, right? So it's a social, right, plus, so it's a 0 plus liaison, which he doesn't have, so that'd be at a -3, but the +1 from Jack of all trades. So he's operating at -2. Now, how easy is she going to be to persuade? Probably not very, because we know she's skeptical. So I'm thinking this is going to be a standard difficulty, so no other modifier. So he's operating at a -2. He needs to roll a total of 8 or more. So on the dice, we need 10 plus to convince her to just say, fine, I'll do it. Yeah, otherwise, there'll be further consequences that we need to figure out. Yeah, that's definitely not high enough, right? So it's no. She's like, no, I'm not going to just return the thing. Right? I stole it fair and square, right? Is kind of the attitude here, right? So now he has the choice. Is he going to just? I mean, yes, it makes perfect sense. He's going to hold and wait for law enforcement. We know that they are on the way, right? I'm guessing there's some kind of sirens or something going on in the background indicating they are on the way. He is physically capable of holding her, certainly. Is I mean, is basically like on the very strong side. I found some. I mentioned on my community page. It just came out, Cepheus Universal, and one of the nice things about this from Zoser Games is that they tie the physical statistics to physical traits. So this guy probably, like based on his physical stats, is like 6'4", 230 pounds. Uh, and like so yeah, he's very strongly built as far as that goes, right? And quite tall. So he can hold her without too much problem. Just wiggly, right, perhaps. But I'm gonna say like between his because he does have some melee combat training, at least enough that he's not you know totally worthless at that. Uh and she's just a drifter, right? So I'd say since he caught her, she's caught. So then he turns her over to the authorities, like, and they take her off. So how does this tie in? So what we have just introduced, right? We have now a new NPC, right, in Mara Sones, right? She very well may reappear. We know that she is a fugitive or refugee. We don't know why, right? We don't have her backstory yet. Um, so we did some haggling and trying to convince her to give up the thing that she stole. And this Your Galactic Hero, I'm guessing that is because now Mies has been recognized by the authorities as somebody who is helping them out and enforcing the law. Now, there isn't a whole lot of law here to enforce, right? But at the very least, he has now some recognition from uh, legal authorities and also from those who are around in the commercial district. They have seen him, they know that he is willing to catch thieves, and I'm guessing with the low law level here, thieves might be a pretty common problem. So, while he may not be a galactic hero, he's at least a commercial district hero, right? So, that is setting Mies out on his story. Right? We'll find out where he goes. Right? Might Mara reappear? Right? How will this all lead to the connection eventually with the larger story that's happening in the broader sector rather than just this system that he happens to be in now? Well, that's a matter for another episode. So this is Rafi Plays, signing off.